Alright, good morning everybody. It is day 4 of the reading rush. I just want to do a small update before I go into work again. I finished Princess Bride last night, as well as Ancient Magus Bride. Somehow I stayed up way too late doing that and I'm exhausted. I'll do kind of more of a mini review of each of those when I get home. I am also going to work on the photo for the day, which is to have a background that matches your book. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do there because the book I'm reading right now is Burning Shadow. That's going to be a weird one to do for this. And then I'm cleaning my house because I have some family visiting this weekend. So while I'm cleaning, my plan is to continue reading Burning Shadow, which I did start a little bit of this morning. You can see what I'm trying to do for my photo today. You don't like oranges, honey. You're just bored by it. Yes, love the orange. I am home. I am going to get my photo edited and put up. I just finished editing my vlog and I am currently uploading that. Plan is to throw on some headphones and listen to The Burning Shadow more. I got a few chapters into this. I actually have no idea what pages. I haven't opened it up. But I got a few chapters into this while listening to it on my way to and from work. I'm loving it. I'm not surprised. Every time I've picked up a book from Jennifer L. Armentrout, I've always loved it. So I know I'm gonna fly through this pretty quickly. At least that's what I'm hoping for. I finished 2 books yesterday. The first book was The Princess Bride by William Goldman. This was the book that I chose for a book that inspired a movie that you have already seen. I've of course seen The Princess Bride a million times. It's a favorite of mine. So I was really excited to get into the book. And this was not what I expected. This went a completely different direction than I was even assuming it was gonna go. I'm gonna put you guys down because I don't want to hold this phone the entire time. I've said in my previous vlog that if you don't know the story about William Goldman's like fictionalized version of himself in this, I highly recommend looking it up. I will try and explain what I can of it right now, but I'm really bad at that because it's very confusing. Basically, when you start this book off, you're reading 2 stories from the author's perspective of his fictional self who had his father read him The Princess Bride by S. Morgenstern, but his father had only read the good parts, so when he tries to get a copy of the original book for his son, and his son ends up hating it, he decides to reread the book, realizes that it's very boring and long, and decides that he wants to publish an abridged version, which is what this is. None of that is true. S. Morgenstern never existed. There is no original copy of The Princess Bride. This is not an actual abridgment, but that's the idea behind this. So when you're reading through it, there's notes from William Goldman between each part of the actual story, explaining why he cut things out and what he cut out, and it's a very interesting take on this, which they did kind of put a little bit of that into the movie, but not to the extreme degree that this book does. I like the idea of that. Actually am fine with his little bits that he throws into the actual story, but the beginning 2, especially in this edition, the beginning 2 stories of just his life and his explanation of this, all of that was just too much. It droned on for a while, and if we're talking about William Goldman's fictional version of himself, I don't know how real that is to his actual person, but he's kind of terrible. So reading his perspective and story on that just was not something that I enjoyed. When the actual story of The Princess Bride starts with chapter 1, loved it. This whole story of Buttercup and even the idea of him abridging it and having these little bits in there is just a fantastic story by itself. And I think if we would have had those first 2 bits cut out and just started at chapter 1, that maybe I would have enjoyed this even more. The story itself, Princess Bride, fantastic, love it. It's so good seeing these characters, and you even get a little bit more than you would in the movie because there's more backstory to Fezzik and Indigo. I do plan on rewatching the movie soon. I was hoping to do that tonight, but I just have way too much to do for the rest of the night, so I'm probably going to try and watch that tomorrow. After that insanity, I picked up The Ancient Magus Bride. This is volume 1 of this series that is very well loved manga, very well loved anime. I have read one other story from this author and it was fine, pulling at me to continue the series. This one was completely different. I could not stop reading this and I loved every single page. I think the characters are fantastic and funny and interesting and deep, and I already care about them so much. I'm only 1 volume into this. The art is beautiful. Just as a short kind of summary of what this story is about, our main character is sold as a slave to a mage who basically bought her to be his apprentice as well as his bride. It's a very strange story, but it's really fun and it has a lot of heart behind it, so I definitely plan on continuing on with this. I use this one for 2 different challenges, one being a book that starts with the word the, and this also completed the challenge for reading a book that is set on a continent different than the one where you live, because this is set in London. I never really said ratings on any of the books I've been reading, but I gave Check Please 5 stars. I gave Princess Bride 4 stars. Story itself would have been 5 stars, but all that extra insanity dropped it down to 4. The Ancient Magus Bride I gave 5 stars, and like I said, I'm still reading The Burning Shadow, so I'm gonna go continue the audiobook for that.